everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at these charts then, shall we? So just a tiny little bit of, I suppose, anecdotal TA is that if there's ever a bullish day, it's a Tuesday, right? It's just, it just seems to be the case. Whatever happens on the Monday normally has an attempt to reverse that on the Tuesday. But also, I should tell you that what we're going to look at now on Bitcoin's chart, despite it looking quite good, and this is the same thing as yesterday, really, golden cross retest and all that sort of stuff. Despite all of that, the main thing to think about is what's going on with Dixie and stocks. Now you might think, oh, bloody boring. But, right, think about this analogy, right? So you're all into crypto, we all are. We love it. We also recognize that you could be trading an altcoin, and that altcoin could be having the greatest setup, a really good run, targets way, way, way higher than they are at this very moment in time. And then Bitcoin says, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going down, brings the altcoin down, brings the entire market down. Correlation to Bitcoin's price action. Whether you like it or not, that happens. You should at this point now be seasoned to that kind of behavior. So whatever altcoin you're trading or looking at, you always have to think about what Bitcoin's doing, because if Bitcoin does the opposite of what that altcoin suggests it's going to do, that might end up with a failed setup. More often than not, that will happen. So a broader outlook than that would be, and it's not always, but I'd say now more than ever, is that Bitcoin is correlated to stocks, and stocks are correlated to the dollar because they're priced in dollars. So if the dollar is stronger, stocks appear weaker. Appearance, because the value of them is probably still the same, but the increased dollar value has given the impression that the stocks are worth less. It's just the nature of the game. So the thing I'm trying to point out here is that, yes, and it was the same thing I was saying over the weekend, given the fact that stocks were down on Friday, dollar was up on Friday, but Meta seemed to hold S&P and NASDAQ up because it had rallied to 20% in a single day. Pretty unusual behaviour. To be fair, I would imagine at this point now, a top has formed on the S&P, a top has formed on NASDAQ, and generally speaking, we should be looking at downside. Now, what we see here is two overheated money flow index reads on the weekly for the S&P. We don't normally get this sort of read. This is close to a 95 on a weekly. Absolutely ripe to get out of any kind of position. It doesn't often mark the absolute top. It definitely tells you when it's getting close to a significant pullback. And I think it's safe to say that we are close, if not already at a top or getting ready for a significant pullback. Now, the first thing for the S&P, and I'm going to talk about crypto, I promise. First thing for S&P is going to be a 4.5% drop to around about 4,700 and thereabouts, and possibly continuation down to the weekly 20 moving average, which this week is 4,600. I'm not going to say that we're going to come down any further than that. It would be silly to try and suggest that is definitely going to happen. Well, I think it's very likely that we will see a drop of that. And the S&P does baby steps while Bitcoin does more emphasized, strides, and altcoins on top of that will be doing moon jumps, in comparison to percentage, when we're talking about percentage terms, right? So I'll be looking for the S&P to do a 4%, Bitcoin to probably do a 10%, altcoins to do a 20%. That's a general sweeping statement, a bit of a broad, bland overview of what I think is going to happen, but I think that's what's going to happen. Now, that isn't catastrophe, is it? That's not chaos, provided we do continue with this general uptrend. But because the money flow index is so high, I'm slightly skeptical that that first drop will be the only drop, and that we might consolidate for a longer period of time. Because just like Bitcoin, S&P has been rallying since this low down here in October 2022. I don't know if anyone was around back then, but I called that low, to be honest with you. I called that low, and then I confirmed this to be the next low that will take us to wherever we go, which is basically here. So, what does this mean for Bitcoin? So let's have a look at that then, shall we? So Bitcoin doing the same as it did yesterday, and moved into a 200 exponential moving average, golden cross retest, reclaimed 50 exponential, that's good, and now has managed to get above the Bollinger Band Center. Excellent. So we did all this yesterday. This is nothing new. A little bit more constructive this morning, I have to say. It's taken a bit more time to do it, but it has done it. So it is the same setup, and so the same targets apply. Yesterday's rejection was ridiculous, but looking back at it now, it actually pinpoints these candle body highs. So 43,576. So sharp rejection, absolute vicious rejection. And again, look, it's not big moves, is it? It's not massive moves. From the top to the bottom, it was a 2.8% move. That's not massive, so just short of a 3% move. You know, we've been in crypto for a long time. You know, those sort of moves are nothing. We can handle that. It's no big deal. And again, you know, to see it do that in the first place, though, to see a rejection of this size, again, we were looking at candle bodies, not percentage terms. You know, that was a sharp rejection all the way back down. The wick did get bought back up beyond these two wicks, so the buyers are still happening. But it's what I've been saying for the last week, really. Bulls and bears are fighting out this range, and they're getting wrecked each time. Everyone's getting wrecked. The bulls get wrecked, the bears get wrecked. Now, someone is going to get mega wrecked at some point, and given what I'm thinking with the Dixie and with the S&P, I'm pretty sure the person who's going to get wrecked is the bulls, unfortunately. And again, you know, just for pure transparency, I'm still out. You know, all my trading accounts are basically in cash. They're all in cash. It's just the hodl bags that are continuing, because that's what a hodl bag is. A hodl bag doesn't care about this, doesn't care about anything, just cares about time. That's all hodl bag cares about, is about time, not about volatility, not about the day-to-day, not about the 4-hourly, it just cares about time. Whereas my trading account cares about everything. And at the moment it's still in cash, and it will remain in cash now more than ever, because I'm looking at the S&P, I'm looking at the Dixie, and I'm superimposing those charts onto Bitcoin's chart, which you know, whether you like it or not, I believe that's the right thing to do. All markets are going to start moving down now, because they've all been going up for a prolonged period of time. There's lots of profit to be taken. Take that profit is what I say, because otherwise what are you trading for? If you're investing, that's different, that's hodling, that's fine, that's all you care about is time. If you care about trading, you do need to realise profits. My profits are realised, and it's time to plan the next major big swings. That's basically what it's all about. Okay, like there's no point in trying to fanny around in a little area like this on a chart which is subject normally to hundreds of percent moves. There's no point in trying to fanny around here. You're looking for the big ones, and you're not going to get the big ones from here. I really don't think that that's going to happen here. So the chart itself looks good, so we should be assuming another attempt to obviously break this wick high, but then make our way up to around 44,000 and probably a little higher than that, and all the same things that we said yesterday, with a max target of 46,500, where I would expect a rejection from that level. So let's have a look at momentum then, shall we? It's dwindling, but we do look like we're trying to forge across above the 0 point. Now, it's a bit early in the day. You know, it's fresh. In fact, I've not got my timer. When's the countdown going to happen? So we got another 2 hours. We've got basically 3 hours basically to go before this candle is confirmed. Anything can happen throughout that period, and we could easily just come back down again. So I'm not here to say we're going to go up to those levels, definitely. I'm not saying that we're going to go down to those levels, definitely. This chart is positioned currently, I would say, at this very moment in time, because of where it looks right now at 9 o'clock Tuesday morning, not 3 o'clock Tuesday afternoon, whether you're watching this video then or you're watching it tomorrow. At this very moment in time, it is poised to try to do what it did yesterday. And that's the position that it's in. So technically, the bulls do have a slight upper hand as of 8 minutes past 9 on a Tuesday morning. But as soon as the American market opens, and again, there is a pre-market and it's up basically 0.15%. When the American market opens at, 2:30 this afternoon, Greenwich Mean Time or Universal Time, whatever you want to call it. But when that market opens, we will see. that market will dictate the direction that Bitcoin's going to go in. And at the moment, I'm not very convinced that the market really knows what it wants to do on this Tuesday, because you're supposed to have a counter move to what happened on a Monday. It's often the case, which is why I suppose the bulls have a very short window of opportunity to try and make its way up to 46,500, which I'd be surprised at, but it's possible. But when the American markets open, we will know, because whatever the S&P, whatever the Nasdaq, whatever Dixie decide to do, Bitcoin will copy. Bitcoin is not the dominant force when it comes to such a broad multi-trillion-dollar market. So it will. And look, the ETF, if anything, is basically absorbing that whole Bitcoin scenario into the system itself. So it's more than correlated now. It's correlated, well, through choice. That's what, that's all part of the game now. So I'm not looking for anything special in this area. This is just a range, and the range, if you decide to play it, you can play it. I mean, I have one of my bots still running, the short token bots. I had 3 of them on. I closed 2 of them on the pullback yesterday because I was just not satisfied with the range. Obviously, closed in profit, clearly. But, I thought, what's the point? This range is not as large as I wanted it to be. Whether it expands later, that's fine. I'll keep one of them on, but there's no point in having 3. Let's lock in some of those dollars. So yeah, another boring video for you. But then this is the nature of this period in the market. Unfortunately, it is boring, and we're going to have to sit around and get bored. Or the best thing you can try and do really is to make a plan for when it becomes more exciting, and it will get exciting at some point. You could either think about not shorting, because I don't like to promote the concept of doing futures trading on people that aren't already doing it, because to be fair, most people get wrecked anyway, so I wouldn't suggest long or short anything. That's a decision that you should make. But a down token bot, which is what I have set up, I might consider setting another one up. Obviously, after closing 2 of them already, I might consider setting another one up if we manage to reach the top of this range, 46,500, or we get close to it, because that would be a bit more of an acceptable place to take a position like that, and hopefully sail that down over another couple of weeks to, first of all, 38 and maybe even lower, making the most of the entire range rather than this little center portion which I've got, which has yielded some profit, but it's not done what I wanted it to do, which would have been top to bottom to top to bottom. And it still might do that, but if I'm going to set up another one of those bots, I'll be doing it closer to the top of the range, so I can make the most of the move down, and then whatever wiggle room I've got, I'll still be significantly in profit because I'll have taken a position close to a top. Anyway, more boring stuff for you there. Sorry about that. Boring you all to death with my boring analysis and boring trading strategies for such a boring range. So it's boring. So just a quick summary. If you're still here at this point of the video, because I imagine you've probably either gone to sleep or just thought, screw this. But oh my God, I can't wait for the next advert to come on to entertain me. I expect Bitcoin to try and do what it did yesterday, and if it's successful, it will move up. The American market will either help it or deny its continuation for that move up. If we continue, this will be the top, the absolute top. We could get rejected anywhere in between. This will be the absolute top, and if the American markets open red, then we'll start to come down anyway. And at that point, I would say that the S&P should have really basically marked its own peak, and we should be looking at consolidations across the board, basically for everything, for at least the rest of this month and next, and maybe longer than that, which is absolutely fine. That is absolutely fine. Right, so that is that. I hope you've slept well through that video, and I wish you a good day. If you want to join the Patreon, we're doing a live stream tonight, so I can bore you to death in the evenings. Otherwise, just like and subscribe if you found this in any way good, and I'd appreciate the like and the comments and the subscribers. That would be good too. But otherwise, hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.